أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Madam Chair, Commissioners, Lead Counsel, Assistant Counsel, viewers and listeners, members of the press, good morning. Welcome back again for our daily proceedings of this Commission of Inquiry into Local Government Councils and related matters. Without further ado, I have the honor to yield the floor to Madam Chair for our next item on our today's agenda. Madam Chair, over to you.
Auzu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I will call on Honorable Sila to lead us in Muslim prayers and Honorable Joyner to lead us in Christian prayers.
Thank you, Madam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة أن لا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة ولكم فيها ما تشتهي أنفسكم ولكم فيها ما تدعون نزلا من غفور رحيم ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. O God, our help in the ages past, our hope for years to come, we come before your throne of grace to thank you for the gift of life and for being our light and salvation. We commit to the new week. We commit the new week into your hands as we walk through the steep and rugged paths. We shall fear no evil. Your rod and staff will comfort us on every side. Be glorified in us. Open new doors in our lives. Protect us from every touch of evil. Cover us under your divine canopy. And may your mercy and grace continue to abide with us today and forevermore. Amen.
Good morning, Mr. Witness. Welcome back. Mr. Witness, for continuation of your testimony before this Commission of Inquiry into Local Government Councils and related matters, I want to remind you that you are still on the oath before I hand you over to Madam Chair for us to proceed. Thank you. Madam Chair, over to you.
Good morning, Mayor Bensouda.
Good morning.
Welcome back. Council, we may proceed.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning to the commissioners and everyone present. To the witness, good morning, Honorable Secretary. Now, you were asked to bring some documents. I'm not sure whether you have any of the documents that...
No, not yet.
Not yet. In relation to also the fracas, you will call it, with the ministry, you had said that you will see whether you have documents that you can bring.
No, I don't have documents.
You don't have those documents. Now, you spoke about the Senator Martin's issue. At some point, she was suspended, and the ministry told you that you don't have those powers to suspend her, and then she was placed on administrative leave.
Yes.
That too, you don't have, no?
The resolution?
Yes.
Okay, I can find that one. That one is with us. Yeah.
Okay. Now I have here with me exhibit MJ KMC 012, dated the 12th of December 2022, in relation to a letter signed by Kajali Jane, the Deputy Chief Executive Officer, addressed to the Chairman, Local Government Service Commission. There's a recommendation for an interdiction of Senator Martin Sonko and for her to proceed on administrative leave. I will just show you this.
Yes.
Would you kindly read the letter written by Mr. Drame? Jane, sorry.
This is a letter on 12th December 2022, addressed to the Chairman, Local Government Service Commission, Quadrangle, Banjul, the Gambia. Is a recommendation for an interdiction of Senator Martin Sonko and for her to proceed on administrative leave. I write to convey the decision of the Establishment and Appointment Committee, which has resolved for the interdiction of CEO Senator Martin Sonko to proceed on an administrative leave with immediate effect and for her to be paid a monthly basic salary until a decision is made on her case by the Commission. This decision was reached during an emergency meeting convened today, Monday, 12 December 2022, at the Conference Room 1. The Ministry has earlier on conducted an investigation on the allegations against her, and the matter was concluded with a report submitted at the Ministry of Local Government, Lands and Religious Affairs. The Council will appreciate for you to look into those reports. In fact, the Council would like to share the view that since the allegations leveled against Ms. Sonko has to do with the entire Staff Welfare Association of the Council, the good working relationship and trust has seriously changed. This we think will be quite impossible to cement the already broken relationship. We thank you and look forward to your timely intervention on this matter. Thank you, Kajali Jane.
Did the ministry respond to this letter? Do you know?
This was sent to the Service Commission.
Service Commission, yes.
So you're asking if the Service Commission responded?
Responded, yes.
No, the Service Commission did not respond till 2023.
Okay. And what did they say in their response?
Okay. This is 5th. No, this letter address is to the Permanent Secretary.
Okay. May I please say it? By this time, where was Senator Martin Sonko, the CEO?
This time, I believe she was on administrative leave.
All right. Why did the council not wait for the response from the Service Commission before sending her on administrative leave?
No, so this is 1 year later. So
Right.
we sent her on administrative leave on July of 2021.
Right.
July
Yes.
of 2021.
June.
June, yeah.
Yes,
So of 2021. And then when the ministry tried to force her in the door, we went to court. We got an injunction against her. And then she, I think 1 year later, around December of 2022, 1 year, 6 months later, the court removed the injunction. So then the ministry tried to bring her back into the office. By this time, we were notified that the Service Commission was functional. And I believe that's when they wrote the letter to the Service Commission. And they responded, I believe, that she should get back to work, which she did. But the council passed a resolution that then the administrative documents and council accounts cannot be handled by her. And then it caused another fracas with the government.
Right.
And this ensued for, I believe, about 2 months or so. And then the government decided to redeploy her to another council.
Yes. So my issue here is when I look at all this correspondence, again, this is the issue we had with the payers, that as grave a matter as Senator Martin Sonkos is regarding allegations of fraud, correct?
Yeah.
It involved the taking of loan of $12 million, which we will discuss subsequently.
Right.
And council found out through your own investigations, whether right or wrong, that there's a issue of concern.
Right.
And so that is the basis as to why you wrote to make sure that the necessary actions are taken, and that was not done.
Right.
Right? And that's what I said earlier on. It was wrong on the side of the peers, or even the commission. The chairperson testified that they didn't take the matter seriously. Now, on the other hand, the responsibilities of the council. Now, I want to know the legality of also trying to place somebody on administrative leave when the law says the powers rest on the commission. In as much as they were ineffective, one can say they didn't do what they were supposed to do, they could have handled the case better. But how does that give the council the right? That's what I want to understand.
So that's the legal advice we got at the time.
Right.
That is within council's authority, and that's what we acted on in the best interest of the council. I think it's unfortunate that the ministry or the commission did not intervene in a correct manner, because of course when there's such a problem, it's an administrative issue, it can risk crippling the council.
Right.
So that's the advice we got at the time.
Okay, good. And subsequently, Kajali was appointed as in an acting position as well. Was also that also an advice you got from the lawyer that the area council has the power to do that?
So Kajali was not appointed. He just continued in the capacity as a deputy CEO.
Right.
And we were advised that is well within their authority.
Okay. So Kajali was at that point referred to as acting CEO. Would I be wrong to say that? I have seen correspondences.
I believe, but not a promotion. It was not a promotion.
Not a promotion.
It was just implied that in the absence of the CEO, the deputy CEO is in charge.
Okay. Now, the issue with Senabo, the issue of transfers of CEOs, who has the power to do this?
The Service Commission in consultation with the mayor.
The mayor. Okay. The word consultation there, do they have to get your approval? What is your understanding?
I believe the input of the mayor is critical.
Yes.
Because we have to work with our CEOs.
Right.
But unfortunately, that's not being followed. It's only happened once or
Right.
twice. Even recently with our new CEO, there was no consultation. They just deployed them.
Okay. That would be, again, not correct if that's the case. Now, you have given us the issue regarding your own input as council regarding when the law says the CEO is subject to the direction and control of council.
Yes.
Right? And so based on that, the opinion was, then you have the powers to met out either disciplinary sanctions or administrative directives in relation to placing the CEO on leave.
Yes.
You still maintain that?
Yes, it was advice we got at the time that is correct action.
Okay. Now, if that is the case, that the CEO is under the direction and control of council. Now, I've had you answer questions several times here that the CEOs are independent in giving, signing checks or approvals and so on and so forth. So how do you reconcile these two?
Yes, so if the CEO makes a payment within the threshold of 500,000, it's well within their authority as prescribed by the council and the KMC financial manual.
Above it?
Above it, they need to seek the council's approval.
But we have not been seeing those approvals.
Well, we've seen where they have sought approvals several times, but there's also instances where they have not, and it's become an issue at the council.
Right. So this is done through the accounts committee?
Contracts committee.
Contracts committee. And we have not seen, for instance, like I said, last time I have requested a list of all the approvals from the contracts committee that were issued from 2018 to 2023, so that we know that within this period, payments that were over $500,000 were approved. You can see the resolution passed and approval given by this contracts committee. Where was council presented with any of these?
Yes, so they do present at the council, and we do pass resolutions. I've seen one or two captured in the resolutions.
Yeah.
But where the clerk did not draft it in the resolution, that would be an error on the side of the clerk. But as far as I was present, most of the big procurements were cleared by council. But like I've said, there's one or two that raise concern in the council.
The deputy mayor, Pamusa.
Yes.
Bah.
Yes.
My friend, Mr. Bah, was your deputy.
Yes.
Right? And he also had an issue in
Yes.
council. We had an interview with Senator here,
Yes.
and she told us that this was the same period that Mr. Bah had an issue, that there was an allegation of soliciting bribery from Ecotech. Were you aware of this?
Yes.
Please tell us how you were aware of this.
So I had traveled to Freetown to sign an official sister city relationship with Freetown City Council. On my arrival, in my first day in office, the Director of Finance approached me to say that there's a payment that was illegally made to Ecotech, if I can recall properly, about 400,000 plus. And according to him, Ecotech had not reached the contractual obligations to be paid that amount of 400,000 because Ecotech, in their contract, they have targets. If they reach a certain target, if I remember correctly, we were already generating about 1.6 million from household revenues. Ecotech promised that if they come on board, they can generate more than 1.5 million. So the agreement with Ecotech, based on my recollection, was anything in excess of 1.5 million, the council and Ecotech would share it on a 60-40 basis, 60 to KMC, 40 to the Ecotech. And as far as the director of concern and the finance committee, that has never been met. And so this payment was illegitimate. So I asked Sinabu to come to my office. And when I confronted her on the issue, she said she was forced by certain councillors and the deputy mayor, especially the deputy mayor. She said the deputy mayor and other councillors were forcing her to make this payment. But I told her, you are the chief executive officer. Nobody can force you. You are supposed to account for council's revenue. Not even the mayor can force you to make a payment against your will. But then she was distraught. In the evening, her and Alaji Conte of Dabanani and her husband came to my office. I think it was at about 5 o'clock. I was closing office hours. They parked their car, they came to my office. When they arrived, that's the first day I realized Alaji was also a shareholder in Ecotech. When they arrived, Alaji was pleading on their behalf because what I said was I was going to take it up to the council. Alaji was pleading on her behalf, And then that's when she claimed that she even has evidence on the deputy mayor who was soliciting a bribe from Ecotech, from an individual called Gaston. So I told her tomorrow, her, Alaji Conte, who's a shareholder, Farimang Singate, who was the one representing the company, and the director of finance should come to my office. So they came to my office the next day. I confronted Farimang directly because he's the one who was the CEO of Ecotech. And I expressly told him, are you bribing our councillors so you can gain income from the council? He denied. From there, I asked Zainabu to play the audio for all to hear. He played the audio, and it was difficult to listen to. It was a very difficult audio to listen to because they are whispering. But what we could ascertain was that it was the deputy mayor allegedly asking for a bribe from the Ecotech company. So basically, I confronted Farimang. Farimang denied it and said he was unaware. Alaji was upset, and it was a crisis, because it was a crisis for me especially, because confidence, because if the deputy mayor was allegedly doing that, then it means we have trouble in our council. But she said that there was councillors involved, so then I had to ascertain who exactly was involved. Before we could get much headway, the deputy mayor, I called him one day and I asked him, and he denied the allegations. And he went on to say that actually he cannot talk about this matter because his uncle had died, his mother had died, and then he was actually thinking about stepping back from the deputy mayor position. 2 weeks later, what I was very interested in was which councillors were involved.
Yes.
And that was my main issue. But before we could get much headway in that, 2 weeks later, we had another crisis on our hands from the time I engaged the deputy mayor, and that is the staff welfare issue.
Right.
So between those 2 months, KMC was in crisis between the deputy mayor and the CEO. But with the deputy mayor's issue, it was discussed at the council. At first, the establishment committee was charged to investigate the matter. But the councillors who are not of my political party did not trust that, because they said majority of the establishment committee were from my party, which is the UDP, and the deputy mayor is from the UDP, so they believe they will be biased. So we called up another general council where we decided now then it would be a joint committee meeting where members of the APRC and PDOIS will also be part of the investigation committee. I think then, of course, both matters went to the attention of the minister, who then raised an investigation and put together a team from both the Ministry of Finance, Audit Office, and then the Ministry of Lands, and they created a TOR. Amongst the TOR was to investigate the staff welfare issue, to investigate the alleged bribery of the deputy mayor, to investigate contracts awarded by KMC, to investigate councillors' allowances, etc. And they came for an investigation. At some point, the committee, I believe, that I cannot ascertain how it went, but the committee, for the feedback I had, was because there was a more competent authority conducting the investigation, they would take a backseat from the matter. Now, the investigators themselves wrote a report, but if you notice in the report, the issue of the deputy mayor bribery was not discussed. According to them, there was no cooperation from the witnesses. So that was that.
Which of the witnesses?
I think they said there was no cooperation from the man who allegedly recorded the audio, there was no cooperation from the CEO, and there was no cooperation from the deputy mayor, if I recall properly.
Now, and that's where the...
What?
I believe I have a copy here.
Council, do we have the report? Do you have a copy of the
I
report
am not
admitted?
sure. Maybe the
Do you
witness
have the
can help
report?
us with it.
Yes, I have a copy.
All right, let's have the report.
So we have this report, Honorable Chairperson, the final report of the inspection exercise on the fraud allegations at the KMC, October 2021. We have it in the list of exhibits.
Please proceed.
Thank you very much. Now, the report did not mention anything regarding the deputy mayor
Yes.
and what did council do. That is why it stopped.
So it was in the terms of reference to investigate it. I believe the man who allegedly, the key witness, returned to Tanzania, but he also denied I think he denied that he recorded it when the investigators came. That's why they could not get anywhere, because he was the key witness.
Okay. Now, did you, by any means, council make recommendations to the Service Commission on the issue of the deputy mayor?
So the issue of the deputy mayor was being handled by the committee. Like I said, the committee said because of the ministry's intervention, they had taken a step back because the parent ministry was taking up the investigation.
Now, how do you compare this when one says, for instance, either you as mayor or the council did not treat the two issues fairly? For instance, that was Senabor's position, right? And I had the same belief as well. The idea that Senabor had what we would call tribal issue, very serious issue of allegations of fraud, whether true or not, and I don't agree entirely with the position of the council in relation to the way they deal with the matter, but it had to be dealt with, and the ministry or the commission should have dealt with that matter because it's serious, right? And we had a discussion on the issue of the guarantee. The opinion initially I had was that it was a usual guarantee, a normal guarantee that Senabo gave to the bank. So my question was, but why would the mayor have an issue with this? But when I read the wordings, it is very clear. It was going to tie, in my opinion, the finance of council. And so therefore, the right thing to do would be to seek council's approval. Yeah. Whether the practice was just the CEO signs or not, the right thing to do would have been, in my opinion, to seek council's approval. But we'll look at the guarantee and we'll discuss it. Right. You have that issue. And you had a good argument. You had a good case, even though not entirely the procedure-wise, but the substance. It had to be looked into. Here, you took steps by first suspending the CEO. Then you were told you don't have the powers. You agreed, and then you placed the CEO on administrative leave. I think it's one and the same. You did not wait for the Service Commission, did you? In the case of Senabo, you went ahead and placed Senabo on administrative leave, correct?
Yes.
Good. Now, why was the same step not taken when it comes to Mr. Ba?
Okay, that's a good question. So the deputy mayor is not under the Service Commission.
Right.
He's an elected official.
Right.
He cannot be dealt with administratively like
yes.
the Service Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, the CEO, the matters were brought to us by the staff welfare with complete documentation and evidence, and her admittance, both in the presence of all the directors and in writing. So the documentary evidence was there and her admittance was both expressed. The issue of the deputy mayor was a little bit more complex. One, there's allegations that councillors are involved. Who? We don't know.
Right.
Two, he denied it. He said it's, I forgot the word he used, AI at the time or something like that. He's a tech person. He denied it. Secondly, the ministry itself took up the investigation after we set up our committees, and they themselves, with all the expertise, could not get headway because the witnesses are not cooperating, including the person who recorded the audio. So I think there are different cases, that's why.
Number one, is there anything stopping the council from investigating the matter when it involves the councillors?
We started investigating the matter, but the parent ministry, if they intervene, they have more capacity. They brought Ministry of Finance. Like I said, it was in their terms of reference, but in their conclusion, it was not featured. And according to them, they did not have cooperating witnesses and enough evidence.
If you look at the sections, let me ask that you be given the act. And let's just try to see the role, the qualification for councillors.
Yeah.
We have a copy of the act.
What section?
Should be 17.
Local Government
Yes, Act 2002.
Yes, section 17.
17. If you look at 17, 1, 2, and 3, it says a person shall not qualify to be elected or nominated as a member of a council if he or she is of unsound mind, has been sentenced to death or imprisonment for an offense involving fraud, dishonesty, or violence, or has been convicted of an offense relating to or connected with elections under any enactment in force. Being a professional person, he or she is disqualified from practicing the profession, and the list goes on. So if you look at B, it talks about fraud, dishonesty, or violence, right? And so if there are allegations of that nature, that as you and I will agree that an allegation to solicit bribery is a criminal offense.
Like I said, it's an allegation,
Right.
Which he denied.
Right.
It was not established.
Right.
We all had our, doubts as to what was going on.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when he's confronted, he denied it. And I think there was already the council investigating,
Yes.
who then handed the investigation to the ministry,
Right.
which had the competent body
Yes.
to really ascertain more than the councillors. And I think given that is a council member involved,
Right.
to avoid bias, it was also best for the ministry to get to the bottom of it. But like I said, at the end of it, they said they did not have cooperating witnesses,
Okay.
including the CEO.
Okay, but let's just discuss this issue. So if you look at B, it talk about, like I said, fraud, dishonesty, and like offenses. And so first, the matter, it should have been reported to the police. Could have been reported to the police, correct?
Well, if we had enough facts.
You had an audio. That was
Yes.
that could have been a reasonable step for the police to start with investigations.
So like I said, we started the investigations. I think it was literally 2 days or 1 day, the ministry intervened. I remember even speaking at one point to the minister. He said, no, don't worry, we'll investigate it.
Right.
When I received the terms of reference.
Right.
So I think the competent body was in place, which is the Ministry of Lands and Local Government, to investigate the matter.
Fraud?
And this one, yes, the ministry is our parent ministry, and they are connected to the Ministry of Finance, and they are connected to the police.
Right.
And at that point, we did not see any reason writing to the police, because we wrote to them on other cases and they did not react. They said we should not write directly to them, we should write to the Ministry of Local Government, even in the case of the CEO. And in this section,
please proceed.
in this section 3, subsection 3B, right?
Yes.
It says sentenced or imprisonment for an
Right.
offense involving fraud. So, like I said, it was an allegation which he denied.
That's what I'm saying. The point is not that we wait until someone is sentenced, and I will link that to the removal of the deputy chairperson. The idea is, it tells you it is a criminal act. And so where is it there's an allegation of a crime being committed, the appropriate authority is the police. Now, the removal of the deputy chairperson on in section 16, sub 4, it tells you
Yes.
sorry, 16 sub 3. A deputy chairperson may be removed from office by resolution supported by a simple majority of the members of the council, right? So my point is,
Sorry, can you, where does it say? 16?
16.3.
A
16.3.
deputy chairperson may be removed from office by resolution supported by a simple majority of the members of the council.
Yes. So my point is, the committee that you thought would have been competent to deal with the matter did not deal with the matter, which means the matter is still subsisting.
So, like I said, he resigned before the matter was even investigated.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the crime
So-
still remains. The allegations of the crime still remains.
But the section you're quoting is removal as a deputy mayor,
Okay.
not as an elected person.
Okay, I'll have a difficulty. I understand that, but let's just have understanding. The point is, we're trying to link these sections. You just don't remove the deputy mayor because we don't like his face. We remove the deputy mayor because there is a reason, right? And so, for instance, if a deputy mayor is convicted, that is a ground for his removal, correct?
As an elected person
Right.
through the president.
Yes. So that will be a ground for his removal, if convicted.
In his elected position
Yes.
as a councillor.
If you are a deputy mayor or a councillor, and you remember you elect the deputy mayor from the councillors,
yeah.
exactly. So if a person is in fact a general rule generally, if a person is sentenced to death or imprisonment for an offense involving fraud or dishonesty, for most of the positions in public office, you lose it. Generally, you lose it. Right? It's a ground for, even the president's office, it's a ground for impeachment. It's a ground for impeachment. So my point is, the committee that was set up did not investigate this because they said there were no cooperations from witnesses, correct?
The ministry, you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. But the issue still keeps on subsisting, right? So that the issue of the allegations against the deputy mayor was not put to rest.
So, first of all, there's the issue of him being a councillor,
Right,
which is elected by the ward,
right,
and then him being a deputy mayor,
right.
where he's elected by the councillors.
Yes,
So we can vote as a council to
Yes.
remove him in the position of deputy mayor, but not as an elected councillor.
okay,
So by this time, he had already resigned,
right,
quoting the death of his mother and uncle in an express letter, that he resigned the position of deputy mayor,
right,
and we had proceeded to elect a new deputy mayor.
right,
Now, the issue of him being elected as a councillor, if the ministry concluded in the investigation that he's found wanting or the police charged him with fraud, then the issue is he can lose his seat
right.
based on that.
Yes, but my only issue is, why stop at the committee's level when it is clear in the report that the matter was not investigated?
It was taken up by a higher authority. Remember, we are a council being supervised by a ministry. If the ministry takes up an investigation with the full power of government and they conclude that they don't have sufficient evidence or cooperation and they put the matter to rest, I mean, as a council, what can we do?
No, you do not agree all the time with the ministry. So where the ministry thinks that they have the power to do something and they did it and you think it is wrong, you always fight back as KMC. Rightly so, you can, you should. You always fight back. St. Martin is an example. The ministry, you were not in agreement with the ministry. When the ministry took over position, you went the other road. So why was it not done in this case? That's my point.
So with the ministry, in terms of the CEO,
Right.
One, we had the facts,
Right,
we had the confession. Two, we got legal advice. It was within our remits.
right,
With the issue of the deputy mayor, we don't have the facts, we don't have the confession, and the ministry intervened directly and said they are going to investigate. Whether we like it or not, they will take it up. And they came up empty. The key witness, who was Gaston, left the country back to Tanzania, the guy who recorded the audio. They said they invited the CEO and the parties involved. None of them were cooperative.
I recall,
yeah.
I recall you told the commission that there are things that are legal that you can't have, you cannot make a determination unless it is by a court of law, right? And so to state that, for instance, there was a confession. I mean, if you tell that to a lawyer, they will assume that there was an independent person, there was a procedure that was followed, and the procedure that is laid down by law as to what a confession is, that would not amount to a confession.
So I think what we discussed was my ability to determine lawfulness and
Yes.
unlawfulness.
Right.
And even in the case of the CEO, the matter is still in court. There is no determination about lawfulness or unlawfulness.
So was the confession lawful?
No, what we are saying in terms of legal advice, in
Right.
terms of procedure for the council to deal with matters that are of concern.
Right.
And that is different from our determination of lawfulness and unlawfulness. And I think that is right now at the competent authority, which is the court of law.
That's why I asked whether the confession was lawful. If you had to rely on it, was it a lawful confession?
Well, like I said, these are reported documents, facts, etc. We are not determining whether lawfulness or unlawfulness. What we determine is breach of trust and our inability to work with the CEO. We did not ask, we cannot dictate whether she is fired, whether she's charged with a crime. What we've determined is the breach of trust is there, and we cannot work with the CEO anymore.
Yes.
So that decision should have been dealt with the Local Government Service Commission, which unfortunately the ministry was preventing them to determine. For the functionality of our council, we said we cannot continue operating with the said
With the said CEO.
Yes.
Right. That's why I said you had tried to distinguish the two. The first is this, with respect to the CEO, there is a confession, right? And to me, there is no confession, because what would amount to a confession will probably be different from your understanding, right? Even the police, if they have a statement that seems to be a confession, they know it cannot be concluded that it is a confession unless it is a determination is made by a court to say yes, it has all the hallmarks of a confession. It has complied with rules, we call it the judge's rules, that complied with laid down procedure as to what should be done, one of which is an independent witness has to be present. And then you have to make certain declarations to the person who you're obtaining the confession from, right? That he has the right to do X, Y, and Z, a lawyer must be present, and so on and so forth. In the absence of those, it would not be a confession. But I understand what you mean when you said you had a written document. By the way, we had asked that you bring it. Do you have it?
I believe it's somewhere. I can see if I can find it.
Okay, we will need it
Yeah,
if
I
you...
will have to find it. Yeah. I'll send it.
Right.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, you please proceed.
Yep. So I think what we are determining at a council level is a breach of trust.
Right.
The CEO did not seek our authority by giving a guarantee. The staff welfare and their issues is the staff welfare and their issues, although council has some responsibility to make sure that the staff and their welfare is in order. But our concern was about putting the council at risk and seeking a guarantee in the name of the council without council authority, tantamount to any company, the CEO putting the company at risk without the authority of the board. So basically, what we were establishing was there's a breach of trust. So we can no longer administratively work with the CEO. Now, in what we've reported to the ministry and the Local Government Service Commission, that is their competence to determine legality, to determine how to deal with it in terms of HR. But like I said, they did not choose to deal with it until 2 years after the fact, and they chose a different route, which was unfortunate.
Now, what would you say regarding the fact that the issue with Mr. Bah was not really dealt with adequately or sufficiently by council? You didn't press on this issue as you have pressed, rightly so, with Senator Martins?
No,
You didn't press on this issue because of party lines or relationships you may have with your deputy mayor.
Well, you know, the deputy mayor's issue was one of the most embarrassing moments for the council, and for me as my tenure as mayor. I certainly wanted it dealt with, but it's a bit delicate. One, is a deputy mayor. Two, there's elected, supposedly, councillors who are involved. How do we ascertain that? How do you navigate that? That is very complex. So I think, thirdly, like you said, the other councillors were also not very comfortable with UDP investigating UDP. So they asked that the committee change to reflect other political parties, and that happened. I have 2 memos where that discussion happened. And then the ministry was not comfortable with even the council investigating a fellow councillor. I spoke to the mayor, he was not trusting the council to do that. So they sent the investigation team, and in their TOR, I don't know if you have the TOR, I was trying to find my copy, but one of the key things they were supposed to do was to investigate the bribe allegation of the deputy mayor. And frankly, I was surprised that at the end of it, they did not have anything on that. And when I did my findings, they said the witnesses did not cooperate. I even asked whether the CEO who reported the matter, they said she didn't even cooperate. So that was surprising.
Now, Mr. Bah, that's Pa Musa Bah, as deputy mayor, you were in the same party?
Yes.
Or are still in the same party as well? How would you describe your relationship with Mr. Bah?
Mr. Bah is deputy mayor. He's an elected councillor of Latrikunda, Yiringanya. He's a member of the United Democratic Party. Yes.
And you have any personal relationship with him?
As a deputy mayor, yes.
Yes. Just as a deputy mayor?
As a deputy mayor, yes.
His reason for resigning was that he has a funeral, correct? The mother or the uncle?
Yes, so when we probed as to who is involved, he said this is a fake audio. He said he's an IT guy. That's his response. But he could not discuss the matter because he was in distress. And on top of that, his uncle died. 2 weeks later, the deputy mayor, his mom passed, and therefore he declined to, he resigned from his position as deputy mayor.
Do you think that's a reason as to why Mr. Bah will resign? Just because he has a funeral?
Well, I cannot dictate what is in Mr. Bah's mind and in his heart, but that's the excuse he gave. One thing we are aware of is that his mom passed.
He continued to be a councillor?
Yes, an elected councillor.
Did he take any leave from?
I believe he was not in work for maybe 2-3 months.
2-3 months. Yeah. And so he continued as a councillor?
He continued as a councillor.
What is the difference between his role as a councillor and a deputy mayor?
So a councillor is elected directly by universal adult suffrage from their ward. Right. Usually, I think what the law allows is for the members of his community to recall him. Right. If he's charged and he's charged with a crime, right, through the court of law, I think the ministry can write and remove him from his position as an elected member, and then a by-election can be held.
No, my question is rather, why do you think that he could continue as a councillor, and now as a deputy mayor, because of the demise of the mother or the uncle, he could not continue?
I mean, if somebody loses their mother, I think that's the biggest loss in anybody's life. And if he says that he's resigned because of that, I cannot judge that.
No, I know. But he did not resign as a councillor. That's the issue. The issue here is, from Senator Martin's evidence, and it's also in her statement, I will read it, is that as far as she's concerned, there's a cover-up. There's a cover-up because the issue of Mr. Bah was not taken as serious as it ought to be. And so there was cherry picking. And then if you look at her evidence, you will see that where the council had disagreed with the ministry, in the case of Senator, council stood its ground. Rightly or wrongly so, on various issues, council stood its ground. In fact, there were communications from the lawyer. is agreeing with the ministry on numerous instances, right? But in the case of Pa Musa Abba, the former deputy mayor, you guys agreed entirely. You guys just put it to rest because of the fact that the ministry could not find a solution to it, and so the witnesses were not cooperating with the ministry, and so that was it. You could have gone a step further to report the matter to police and see what the police could do.
So the issue, like I said, are two different. The issue of Musa Abba, he's an elected member. He has zero power as an individual. He's left the post of deputy mayor. He's left with his people and his constituents. It's very different from the role of the CEO. A. B, the cases both are different in the sense that the CEO admits and the evidence is hard. The other one denies and leaves his post as a deputy mayor. 3, if there's a cover-up, then the ministry would have to be involved in that cover-up because the ministry took up the investigation as a parent body and a body dealing with the government. That's why I said, to be frank, I was expecting at their conclusion a different conclusion, but they said nobody cooperated, including the CEO. That was shocking.
Let me show you an example of what I'm trying to say. The letters that you guys wrote, we have from a Senghor Law Practice on the 14th of April 2023. It reads, final instructions to hand over to the Chief Executive Officer and one for insubordination. We act for Kanifing Municipal Council of the 7 Mamadi Manjang Highway in the Kanifing Municipality of the Gambia. Our client has forwarded to us your letter dated the 12th day of April 2023, bearing reference LM 3513101 IV bracket 124. The said letter was addressed to the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of Council and copied to the Lord Mayor. By this said letter, your said ministry sought to give directions to the Deputy Chief Executive Officer. We have been instructed to draw to your attention the provisions of Section 43 of the Local Government Act. It provides that the Chief Executive shall be answerable to Council and be subject to its direction and control. The Council has, by a resolution passed on the 3rd day of August 2021, directed the Chief Executive Officer to proceed on indefinite leave. This resolution remains effective and has not been rescinded by the Council. The Council passed a further resolution on the 24th day of February 2023, confirming its earlier resolution, sending the Chief Executive Officer on leave. By this resolution, the Council directed the Deputy Chief Executive Officer to continue to run the affairs of the Council until further notice. You guys did not agree entirely with the ministry, right? You challenged the ministry on all this. They had taken a position which you disagree with, and you communicated your position to the ministry, and you stood your ground. In the case of Pa Musa, Lord Mayor, it's very clear. There was no effort on councils, at the level of council, to see to it that the matter is concluded. And even if the ministry, for instance, did not investigate this by virtue of any reason presented, you could have insisted as council that this matter must be investigated. You do your part and write and pass resolutions, in fact, to suspend or do whatever you have think you have the power to do with respect to the deputy mayor. Nothing was done of that sort.
So if the deputy mayor refused to, let's say, step down, or he did not resign, we would definitely suspend him. We would definitely vote to bring him down, even if we did not have enough evidence, for the being that there's an allegation out there which is unresolved. But we only have the power to remove him as a deputy mayor. The rest that he has, he's elected from his ward, has zero power in the council, and that is the power of his ward. Secondly, like I said, in one case, the ministry is saying we are not interested in investigating this matter. On another case, the ministry is pushing to investigate the matter, meaning in the case of the deputy mayor, the ministry has taken the initiative to investigate the matter. I even have 2 of the general council meetings, if you want to see it.
Yeah, sure.
One was when the council instituted the committee to investigate the mayor, the deputy mayor, and the arguments there, and then the second meeting where the opposition councillors wanted a more balanced committee.
We apply to tender the minutes of meeting of the 26th of July 2021 of the General Council. And the 2nd of August 2021.
A General Council meeting resolution dated the 26th of July 2021. It has meeting number reference KMC / GCM 002/02 2021. These minutes were signed by Usman Gay, Clerk of Council. The second second General Council meeting minutes, which have reference KMC / GCM 007/06/2021, is dated the 2nd of August 2021, and it is also signed by Usman Gay, Clerk of Council. These two documents are admitted together as exhibit in evidence, and they are marked as LGC/KMC/TAB/018.
As the Commission, please, you want to guide us through the relevant sections or points?
So the first one is the meeting minutes of 26 July. The section 2.0 on the issue of Ecotech. The chairman revealed that a company named SourceNet wrote to his office and claiming to be a partner of the Ecotech. In order to remind members, he went through memory lane explaining the steps leading to the Ecotech contract and how it came to General Council and the Contracts Committee and finally GPPA for approval. He emphasized that since they engaged Ecotech, the Council hasn't paid any amount to the company with the exception of $410,000, which he said was intercepted as the contract between Council and the company mentioned a 2% pay, which was more than what they were to be paid. He informed members of SourceNet's complaints of not being paid by the partner company, Ecotech, which he said goes to show that the Council didn't pay Ecotech as alleged by some people. He opined that since a complaint has been lodged against the company, he will propose that the matter be forwarded to Establishment and Appointment Committee and the Contracts Committee, but those who are serving members of the Contracts Committee must excuse themselves to ensure transparency in the process. The London Corner Ward Councillor said he still wants to emphasize the need for the setting up of an ethics committee and for the committee to be bipartisan. This will ensure justice is served. In his reaction, the chairman said the councillor shouldn't drum partisan politics, as what he was saying may show seeds of discord, which will not augur well for the council. He stressed that since they came to council, they have managed to work as colleagues and partisan issues has never surfaced. He said he understands this is an election year, but they must not lose sight that it was in the spirit of the council to work together, and they must not spoil that bond and trust they have for each other. The new Joshua Ibo Town Ward Councillor said committees are in place to deal with such matters. He indicated that they have always worked together and they must not let politics to creep in and destroy the bond they share. He said the rules of procedure states that councillors can attend other committee meetings without being a member, but only in the exception that they don't vote. The Bundung 6 Junction Ward Councillor said it is good that they try to investigate the claims, but in the interest of all, it is proper that they involve others to make the process more open, transparent, and trustworthy. Following the deliberations, it was agreed that the issue of SourceNet relations with Ecotech be forwarded to the Establishment and Contracts Committee to probe the matter. It is also resolved that they investigate the purported recorded audio of the Deputy Mayor in circulation and report to the General Council. The second minute was in 2nd August 2021. Is Ecotech affairs with SourceNet. So it's a long deliberation.
That's okay. If you just refer to us to the page.
Section, yes.
Yes, we can look into it afterwards.
So the Bundung 6 Junction Ward Councillor, who's from a different party, APRC, he said he still harbors the belief, this is section 5.47, he still harbors the belief that a separate committee should be instituted to carry out the investigation. He said having the establishment committee is fine, but for the contracts committee, he has his doubts that they should be part of it because they awarded the contract. The business councillor added that the committee can also go through the minutes again to see what happens. The vice chairman of the committee mentioned trust as an issue, as he will want members to preserve the information while investigations are ongoing. The Talib North councillor said the vice chairman shouldn't utter such statements, as he believes every member of council is trustworthy. The Bundung 6 Junction Ward councillor said they should be more accommodating and use some of the councillors who are serving in only one committee. The nominated member for women said they have long trusted the establishment committee, and she doesn't see the reason why they must have doubts over the members at this stage. He said the council has lots of committees and it does not make sense to constitute another one. Finally, members unanimously agreed that the contracts committee be ditched from the investigation, and 3 other members, the accounts committee chair, who was then an APRC councillor, revenue committee vice chair, I believe was a DOI councillor, and the finance committee chair was a UDP councillor, to be included in the establishment committee to investigate the audio involving Deputy Mayor and Ecotech.
Very well. May I please have those documents? So this was in July 2021, correct?
Yeah.
Now, the Service Commission rules in 2023 was enforced? Do you recall this?
To institute the CEO?
No, in relation to the employments of members of the council
In
that were appointed
in
2023 wasn't for.
I believe in the first quarter they were functioning.
Sorry, 2003. You know, you have the local government service rules 2003. Were you familiar with this? Are you?
The local government service rules?
Rules 2003.
I read it a while back, but if you
Okay.
can refer to any section.
All right. Were there any other service rules that council were making reference to apart from this one? In relation to employment, disciplinary matters?
Yes, I believe the establishment was working on scheme of service and service rules, if I remember.
Okay. So was there a scheme of service, do you know?
I believe they constituted a scheme of service.
At the council level?
At the council, they either amended one or they created one or the other, after the HR audit.
Okay. Now, the other question is the issue of the $12 million.
Yes.
Now, Senator gave a guarantee as CEO.
Let me just find
Yes,
out.
please.
Mayor Bensouda,
Yes,
with respect to the issue of Musaba,
Yes.
do you think, on hindsight, even though he had resigned as deputy chairperson of the council,
Yes.
do you think it should have been prudent on the side of council to deal with the matter, since it was an allegation of fraud which would or did have, because unless there is an investigation and a report written to that effect, we didn't know whether actually money transpired, exchanged hands. Would it not have been prudent for the council to lay to rest, either through legal advice or otherwise, in order to be able to send the right signal to the councillors that you should not be involved in these issues? In as much as the ministry has come back to say, which I will find rather surprising, because as government,
Yes.
you cannot say, you cannot take responsibility, because I cannot see how government would not be able to take responsibility. And at the same time, there is an institution that has charge and responsibility under the CEO for the ministry to come back to say that there was no cooperation from the CEO. I find that really questionable. But that being the case, don't you think it should have been settled to send the right signal? Because you cannot have elected councillors being alleged to have committed fraud, and the thing is just left hanging like that. What signal is it sending to the people?
Thank you, Ma. I think it's a good question. We always pride ourselves before this incident as a corrupt-free institution, and that we fight against corruption. It's unfortunate the many things that have transpired, and I assure you, we wanted to handle the issue of the deputy mayor, but
sorry, before you proceed, do you think it's still late for you not to put this thing to rest?
So the issue was taken up by the Ministry of Lands.
But it's not conclusive.
Yeah, because they have the competence, and they said they were not having witnesses who were cooperating. There's been other instances even where the council investigated or asked for investigations to be conducted around allegations we hear about councillors, but without the concrete evidence, it's difficult to get ahead. But like I've lamented before, the ministry, this was a time of chaos. The ministry themselves came and they said they're taking up the investigation. I called a general council meeting and welcomed the investigators. I introduced them, but they asked that their names not be featured in our minutes or said on the media, but we introduced them and we read out the terms of reference, and one of them was that they will take up the investigation of the deputy mayor. Now, when you say that the reason the CEO is not cooperating is questionable, I found that also surprising. Because remember, this was an adverse person towards the council at the time. and the ministry was adverse towards us at the time. But the fact that that section...
Supposedly.
We were at virtual war. But the fact that that section was the only section that is not investigated outside the TOR was also surprising, because as the mayor, I was expecting that that would be the section that would be featured the most, but it was not. When I asked, this is when I asked people, they said, well, nobody cooperated. I asked how about the CEO? They said even the CEO did not cooperate. So I don't know why that is.
Council, you may proceed.
Now, you also told us that you will find the words that were used by General Counsel in getting Kajali to act, because Kajali was in effect acting as CEO, correct?
Yes, in effect.
Good. So from Deputy CEO, when Senator Martins was no longer there, he became the acting CEO, correct?
Yes.
Now, do you have the wordings that you were looking for to see whether he was appointed in that position or elevated in that position? You said you wanted to see the...
Yes, I've asked for the corresponding, but I've not had the luxury to settle down because I've been here for the past few days.
Sorry.
But I've asked the... no, it's okay, it's service. But I've asked them to try and find the corresponding minutes. Yeah.
Now we have the 2003 Act. Sorry, Government Service Staff Rules, the Gambia Local Government Service Staff Rules, 2003. Let me just show you 0230. Because the appointment letter of Senable, the offer of appointment as Chief Executive Officer within the Local Government Service on the 20th of February 2020 referenced these service rules.
Yes.
Please kindly read that part.
Which one? The acting?
Yes, the acting.
Notification for acting appointment 0230. Where the head of department considers that an acting appointment is necessary, he will notify the establishment committee through the chief executive using the standard form at least 1 week before the vacancy occurs. Such notification should indicate the percentage of duties of the higher office the officer being recommended for acting appointment would carry out. The establishment committee will forward the notification together with its comments to the commission. This is for heads of department.
This is, yes, but it talks about acting positions generally, right? And in any case, it shows you that the service commission must be notified.
In acting, yeah.
Yes.
The establishment committee will forward the notification together with its comments. But it talks about heads of department in acting roles, because it said he will notify the establishment committee through the CEO.
Okay. So 0229 also still talks about acting. That's why it started, right? It says acting appointments may be recommended. It may be recommended when a substantive post in grade 8 and above falls vacant, or the post holder will be temporarily absent for a period exceeding 21 working days. So again, we can't find the powers of council to get someone to act. But we know when you look at the service rules, 2003, it tells you, it reaffirms the position of the Act, Local Government Act 2002, which talks about who has the power to appoint or discipline. And it tells you that the establishment committee will have to make recommendations. For instance, section 37, which reads that the establishment committee shall, subject to this act and any other enactment, be responsible for recommending to its local government service commission the appointment, dismissal, conditions of service. So this falls on the condition of service, and discipline of officers and other employees of council, of its council, and any matters connected therewith, and B, such other functions as its council may deem fit, right? Then you have the service rules of 2003, which now talks about acting, and it still tells you acting appointments may be recommended. when a substantive post in grade 8 and above falls vacant, or the post holder will be temporarily absent for a period exceeding 21 working days. And 0.23, where the head of departments consider that an acting appointment is necessary, he will notify the establishment committee through the chief executive officer using the standard form at least 1 week before the vacancy occurs, right? So be it as it may, the power to act must ultimately come from the commission. Do you agree with that or not?
Thank you, Lead Counsel. The problem with a lot of these documents for local government, all of them are not gazetted.
We see the 2010 was not gazetted either.
Yeah, so this is the challenge. So for a long time, local government has not been taken seriously. The regulations are not gazetted.
Right.
There is no training of the local government staff, etc.
Right.
So I even checked the service rules before even this commission started. It's not gazetted.
Yes.
So that's why the council was coming up with its own schemes of service, etc., I believe. But like you've said, we asked for legal advice. Like I said, I'm not sure what the lawyer quoted, but there's one of the laws that says all deputies are bona fide substantive holders when the substantive holder is absent. But anyway, I will leave that for the lawyers like yourself. But all I'm saying is we ask for legal advice throughout all these steps.
Of course, you did. We have seen the evidence there. My point is, like you said, even in 2010, there was a service regulation in 2010, which was also not gazetted as well, signed. But the point here is just trying to make sense of what the Act says, which is in force, which has a specific issue in relation to how appointments are made, right? And it tells you it is through recommendations to the Service Commission. Now, the scheme of service that you guys have, which I'm sure is also not gazetted as well. Yes. Do you have a portion that talks about, can you give us a copy first?
I will ask the establishment chair, but usually council creates policies and rules for internal control.
Yes.
Last time you spoke about the finance manual.
Right.
And I also asked, but they said for council's internal control, that doesn't have to be gazetted, but for government to govern local councils, those have to be gazetted and published. But we create just rules in the absence of loopholes.
Yeah.
So I believe the problem is we could not find such a document at the time.
Right.
This is why we started creating rules.
Good.
But every step of the way, like I said, we just ask for legal advice.
Legal advice as to how it is
The
done.
problem we were facing is that the commission that is supposed to function, like you've said, was not functioning.
Now, the issue of the appointments and the contracts that we have dealt with as well, was it the belief of the General Council at the time, through legal advice, that the General Council has the powers to appoint or elevate people in the position of acting capacity?
So it's, for example, it's daily practice.
Yes.
If the director of service is absent or goes on leave, the deputy director becomes the director. Same with every department.
Not in all cases. Not in all cases,
Well,
because there are certain powers. For instance, my ministry at Justice, there are powers that only the Attorney General can exercise, right? Not even the Solicitor General can do that. And then there are powers as well. These are powers that are conferred directly to certain individuals.
Yeah. So, for example, when, let's say the CEO was not placed on administrative leave, if the CEO goes on their standard leave, the deputy CEO is automatically in charge.
That is also not provided. We don't have the position, like you told us, of deputy CEO.
Well, this is why the government needs to now create these documents to guide the councils. But these are the structures that are found at the council
level. I understand that. Yeah. So if you have the position of a deputy CEO that is occupied, but it is not provided for by law, right?
Yes, so these are the adjustments.
Yes, and so it is not provided for by law, and now we have the CEO vacant, even though there is a deputy CEO and it's not provided for by law. Now, how can that person assume an office that is prescribed by law while his office is not prescribed by law?
So let me see what directorate I can use. The So the council can work with the service commission, for example, to create units, to create departments that are not necessarily provided by law. So like these positions were created, I think only Banjul and KMC have deputies as far as CEO and Director of Finance. But like I said, these are positions that were created. The problem is the law is not reviewed, it is not updated. There's a lot of loopholes. So what would assume that when the CEO is absent, the deputy CEO is in charge. But like I said, there was a legal advice we got about one law that states that when the CEOs are not available or the substantive holder, the deputies become the substantive holder. So similarly, when they go on their normal leave or they are sick, the deputy becomes the substantive holder of the position.
So these deputy positions were they created by the, we know it's not in the act, in the laws, but were they appointed through the commission?
Yes, we found all these deputy positions there, and they are all appointed
through the commission as well.
Yeah.
Right. Any quick question for the witness?
On this, I just want a little bit of clarification on the issue of Jaja Cham, because we see in the letters that he signed as acting.
Yes.
And for him to have the powers, he must be appointed to that office.
Yes.
And does this acting capacity have an impact on the budgetary issue with reference to his emoluments?
In terms of his compensation?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think KMC had 4 CEOs, 2 of them were acting, but both by the ministry.
Yes, so what I mean, when Jaja took over, was he being compensated? Was he being paid acting allowance?
I'm not sure.
And the accompanying benefits of somebody acting in that capacity? Because I just recall, you just said that you were advised legally that there is a law that says where the principal is not available, the deputy can step in. But then what we have been trying to establish is that we have seen Jaja has been signing as acting. And in correlation to that, he is entitled to be paid acting allowance and all the other benefits. And if he has to be paid, it has to be sanctioned by law.
Yes.
And because it has impact on the budget, right? Yeah. So that is what I want to find out, whether he was receiving monies paid to him pursuant to that. And you have indicated, because we have not seen in the law that is saying that, or any correspondence that is saying you have been officially appointed to act in this capacity, pending the determination of the issues of the CEO.
So Jaja was a director of administration. He was appointed by the ministry, not by the service commission, because then there was no service commission. He was appointed by the ministry as the acting CEO. So he was not a deputy CEO. He was the director of admin, appointed by the ministry as an acting CEO, because there was no service commission at the time.
All right. Council, you may proceed.
Yes, we have no further questions for the witness for now. We have witnesses that are to testify in relation to the grants. And so we will apply that the witness be discharged till Thursday.
I have some questions with respect to the projects, that is the for the the trucks that were purchased, I wanted to get this question cleared. Having looked at Exhibit 014, let me say 012, 013, and we have asked that you provide us with documents. You said you were going to contact the then appointed
Project manager.
Yes, project manager. For us, based on documentary evidence received from KMC, we have not seen any feasibility studies done pursuant to the procurement of these trucks. And what we see is that it is after the signature of the agreement that the concept note and subsequent documents were produced to that effect. And this is what has led to the fact that it became a serious problem. The viability became a serious problem. Then you had to revert back to council's fund to pay off the debt. Is that the situation?
Right, so initially, like I said...
No, I just want you to be clear. You have submitted Exhibit 012, 013, and 014. And I have personally taken it upon myself to peruse these documents. But what could be gleaned from these documents is the fact that all of these documents were prepared after the agreement was signed. Like the concept note, the data collection, you understand, giving you an estimation of what is to be collected, etc. And then putting together the project team, the cost, and all that. So this was after the agreement was signed.
Yes, so...
Are we
yes,
clear
so the
on that?
project evolved.
Yes.
Yeah,
So there was no prior, listen, how to call it, feasibility studies. There was no prior assessment. There was no prior collection of data to have a realistic assessment as to what is going to be, you understand, the true picture of how the project is going to evolve vis-a-vis with revenue collection.
So
given the peculiarity of access and challenges in KMC.
So before it was supposed to be WDC run,
Yes.
that we've established
Yes.
through the ward development committees.
Yes.
And later there was the decision that that was not safe.
Feasible.
And that's why we said, well, not the feasibility, but the accountability of it, because they did not have the capacity or the financial instruments. So then the decision was made, no, it should be done by council. That's when we got a project team and then started doing the established surveys, etc.
So it is correct that proper feasibility was not done at the level of the ward to ascertain the viability of the project before it was signed.
I think there was feasibilities done, but not in an expert format. I think it was just basic calculations and surveys.
But why would not an expert feasibility be done at the level of the ward to ascertain that, given the fact that there was so much money to be expended on this project?
So that was the determination after the fact, that we cannot leave this to the wards.
Yes.
If we leave it to the wards, they're going to have problems.
So
and
it
the
is
trust will be
it is
returned.
correct that not proper due diligence was done in terms of putting together the requisite information and data to allow for this project to take off.
I wouldn't use the word proper due diligence. I would say the idea evolved. The
After
idea
the
was
sign.
evolving as we were going along. Yeah.
Council, yes?
Yes, I had applied that the witness be discharged and recalled on Thursday. We have witnesses that are to testify in relation to the grants that were received by KMC.
All right, and you were asked to bring some certain documents. So please endeavor before you come back on Thursday so that we can have those documents.
So I've asked the various people. Jaja is in France, I understand. Bakari, I'm yet to create contact with him. He's in Abu Dhabi.
All right. Okay, so Mayor, you are discharged. We'll see you on Thursday.
Inshallah.
We have a witness.